Okay everyone, hey, Paul here from Classic Motorworks, and we're doing a how-to video tonight on electric fan wiring. Okay, so the electric fan's already put in. We're gonna do the wiring for the electric fan tonight. All right, so if you haven't, please like, subscribe, do all that stuff that, you know, helps promote these videos, because you know what, that actually helps me and it'll help you get more stuff. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna put this right up here, and we're gonna do a how-to in just a moment. Okay everyone, so here we go. We are going to go ahead, and we've got our fan already mounted right here. The old one is out. We had to drill a couple holes in the shield to make this one fit, but this one is gonna be much better. This is a 16-inch FlexWave puller fan. And for those of you who don't know, the the puller versus the pusher is on the front side pushing the air, and the puller's pulling it through. Now, some people I've actually seen where they've had two fans on, a puller and a pusher, and it's not a bad idea for Florida, because, you know, Florida gets a little warm. That's where we are located here in the great state of Florida. Now we've got our wiring harness. Let's talk about this particular wiring harness that's coming with it. This harness is the compact adjustable electric fan controller with relay kit. This kit is part number 121281 from Flexolite. And it comes with some things. We are gonna not use these. We don't like these, okay? These are bad. They ruin cars, so don't use those, all right? Okay. So, the other stuff in there didn't look too bad. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we got the old wiring sitting off to the side. And let's take a look at this. Does it come with instructions? That would be fabulous if it did. Let's take a look and see if it does. Okay, of course it comes with instructions, and hey, here you go. Maybe you can check this out. I think what we're gonna really be looking at is this right here, which already has some grease on it. Okay, so we've got a yellow, a red, green, white, black, and blue, all right? And I think I'm gonna put this right here on my spring. That way I'll know where it's at. Oh wait, let's put on the top one. Hey, there you go. Put on the top one, you can really get it nice and tight in there. Okay. All right, that's gonna be moved pretty soon, or I'm gonna drop it or something. Okay, so we're gonna get a wiring harness out. And let's see what we've got here. We've got some really nice wire. What gauge wire is that? 12 gauge wire. Very nice. We've got fuse holder. Red and red. And we have our temp sensor, which we're gonna pull out the old one here in a few minutes. And yeah, we're gonna try to solder as much as possible, or at least make sure our connections are good with some connectors and whatnot. Okay, step one, let's go ahead and get that old temp sensor out, I believe. Let's run that route. Maybe we can use that old adapter. What do you think? Okay, so because I believe this is cheaply made, I grabbed metric stuff. What? You mean cheap stuff is usually metric? No, I don't mean that. Yes, it is. It's 17 millimeters on the old one. So, but we've got one in here in the bottom that I need to hold on to, because I'm afraid that, let's see if it starts to turn. I'm sure it's probably gonna turn. We gotta get another wrench on that one. Oh, no, wow, ooh, wow. Okay, that was special. Okay, some of you are probably saying, wait, is that wrench he's turning by hand? This is a cool wrench, it's a Stanley ratchet. I love this thing. You turn the handle. Okay, probably gonna have some stuff gush out now that I just thought about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the, yep. Okay, so let's get ready for that. And I'm looking at this size versus this size, and I don't believe that's gonna fit. All right, let's look at what adapters we have here. For tonight, I'll show you both of them, even though we're only gonna be using one, most likely. Okay, we have in our kit 2 different threaded adapters. I think we might be able to put this one in. Man, I don't want to do that. I see what's happening here. This one, we don't want to do that. Okay, you know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to take that out and put this in. Yes, we are. The old adapter is gonna have to come out because the thread size will not fit the new one. Okay, so before we take that out and gush fluid everywhere, let's go ahead and find the correct wrench size for that. Okay, and yes, I grabbed another metric. 19 is gonna be too small, so I gotta do something bigger. Okay, I did go ahead and get the multi-metric wrench here. And I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to tighten that one back up just a tad bit right there, don't you know? And you know what, let's try to be smart about this, people. Is it that one, or is it going to be the other one? I tell you what we're going to do. Regardless, we're going to try to do something smart. We're going to have both of these adapters ready. I think it's the larger one, but I'm not 100% sure. Now here's what I like to use. Some people say this is not the thing to do. Some people say it is the thing to do. You decide what works for you. Okay, so I believe in, if we do it the correct way, we're gonna use some threaded tape stuff, but we're not gonna use the stuff that you might be used to. I like this stuff, okay? This is actually meant for gas lines. It even says it on there, yellow gas lines. However, I believe, and it's been a while since I've looked at this, if you flip it over and you read it, it says, for use on threaded joints of metal pipe not exceeding 1.5 inches of pipe, in assemblies handling gasoline, petroleum, oils, propane, butane, and a whole bunch of other things, okay? This stuff is actually really good for using around car parts because oils and all that stuff, it's just, it's great. Okay, so here we go now. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this to make sure we don't wrap it so that it comes off when we thread it in there. Okay, one little loop around is all you're gonna need. Okay, and that is now ready. But let's get the other one ready just in case, which I think is the other one. Okay, guys, don't you know? Isms. So let's go ahead and get this one ready as well. And we wrap it. Can you see that? All right, good. If you just responded to that, we're gonna have to have a talk. Okay, so here we go. We got them both ready. I believe, oh, that phone's going off. I do believe it's this one, but let's, here we go. Regardless. Oh, wait. Well, we're just gonna have to go for it. All right, so let's get the big metric adjustable wrench ready. Give it a little snuggles. Okay, get that little loosey. Just give it maybe a baby turn. I think that snuggles up there. Okay. Okay. And can I move that with my hand yet? Nope. Okay. That's okay. It's all right. We're gonna get it. Don't worry. Calm down. All right. Let's loosen this up a tad bit. Okay. Now we got it. Now's your go. Just get your plugger ready. Oh. Okay. That was under pressure a little bit more than I thought it would be. Yep. I didn't expect that. Be prepared. All right. So looking at that. It's definitely the larger one. Okay. So I am now going to somehow grow a third hand here and do this. I'm gonna come back and put some tape on that because I totally forgot to do that. That's okay, that's all right. This is gonna be the way not to do this video. We're gonna call it the way not to do this video. All right, and heck, I'm not really losing anything now. Go ahead and get this put started because it totally will be the right thread size, right? Oh boy, this is not good. Well, now that the water levels, or excuse me, the antifreeze level is good, let's just take this off and work with this. I expected that to gush out, but I guess the thermostat in this is, one, we now know that there's a thermostat in it. And since this is after the thermostat, we don't have everything gushing from the radiator, which is a nice feature, nice features. Okay, this is not good. It's not wanting to go in there. And the last thing we want to do, that's an aluminum intake. The last thing we want to do is to make an aluminum intake unhappy. All right, well, this just got more fun. And that I know is not the right size. Now we know this one fits. However, this is too big and this doesn't fit. All right, this is what I didn't want to do. So let's see if this will work. That screws in there. Okay. I did not want to do that. I don't like doing that, but I believe this is going to be our route for this evening. Now, let's get a tad bit more of that right there. Touch your nose and puts that on right there. Radio song. All right, let's put that one on. Okay. Zibadoo, zibadoo, well, you know what? I just realized, heck, I'm gonna make a mess anyways, and this is not heavy. I don't think I made that long enough. Dratsisms. Okay. So I just realized I'm gonna be making a mess with this antifreeze anyways, because one other thing we have to do this is we have to replace the, we're gonna replace the gasket on the thermostat because I know that gasket is leaking and we're gonna make a mess there. So let's just make a huge mess. Okay, this video is now going to be called How to Not Do Things and How to Make a Mess. How about that? Sounds pretty accurate so far. Alright, so let's put this one right here now. Yep, okay, that's looking good. Alright, let's get our adjustable metric wrench. Yep, here we go. Turning with ease and not tearing it up. In a world where auto parts stores are closed late at night, one man's determination to finish something is beaten by over-tightening an adapter. So once upon a time, since we are waiting here, and this is time, once upon a time, not me, it might have been me. Somebody, possibly me, over tightened one of these and broke it flush. I mean, completely flush right across there, right across. And the copper piece was still in there, so you can only imagine the moment. But one of those easy outs, believe it or not, took it right out. And that was the end of the story. Okay, so we have our second adapter, which I really don't like doing. I mean, even it looks bad. Just my personal opinion. Just my personal opinion. Okay, so we need another charge. Okay, so my guess is that it's an 18. Oh, what do you know? Like gee willikers. Oh, it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and tighten this up. All right. Is he tightening that with just his left hand and his wrenches removed? Why, yes, I am. I know, it's pretty cool. I know. Where can you get one of these? I honestly don't know if I didn't get it. Anywhere Stanley products are sold, like Amazon. You know, for the longest time, I don't know if they still sell them, but I know Stanley was with Walmart for the longest time. Maybe, I doubt that that's at Walmart because that's really old, but I don't know, check Walmart's website. For those of you who don't know that, that's www.walmart.com. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and get this wiring harness ready. And when I say get that wiring harness ready, what I mean is we're gonna put some of that Teflon tape and get the wires for that separated from everything else. And I'm starting to think that this project that I've started may end up being a continuation until another day. Not because this is difficult or anything, but because it is, what time is it? It's 8:09 p.m. on a Friday evening. And I may have been working on cars all day to begin with. So this might end up being a continuation, I believe. So next time on cars that spill antifreeze everywhere. And oh my goodness, this is just, look at this. This is just becoming a thing. It's not even sticky and I'm having issues. Wow. It's not even, I mean, if it was sticky, maybe that I could have an excuse, but the fact it's not even sticky, it's like, dude. And not even, things aren't even sticky here. I mean, they're slippery because of the antifreeze that's everywhere, all over my hands. Okay. All right, so let's get this started. And I think this might be it for the night. Now, you're about to find out why I'm doing this first. The reason I'm doing this first is because I want to grab the entire wiring harness, like so. Okay. Because the wires are all attached, like solid, like glued in. Like you're gonna have to cut them if you. So the reason I'm doing this is so I can, after I get this going, I don't want the wire to be all twisted up. See how it's spinning there? Okay. After I get it going, I'm gonna be able to untwist this wire just by twisting the bundle of messy wires. Okay. Now, what else should I have done already? I should have already gotten the piece for that. So let's go put this mess away. And I don't know, it's definitely metric. So I don't know, what do you think? 12-ish? No, 13-ish, 14-ish? Let's see. I think it's something like that. So I have 12, 13, and 14. I don't believe it's the 12. Oh, I should have went with my gut. 14. Oh, hear that? Yeah, that is our security dog. He's doing a great job tonight. trolling. He's barking at a cloud. Okay. That cloud better not come over this part. Oh my. Okay, we're gonna do this. And then what I like to do is then rip off that tape so it doesn't look like that, because that just looks junky and nasty. We want to go for professional looking. You know what doesn't look professional? This adapter mess. Oh my goodness, I do not care for this look. It's like a little baby copper Christmas tree. Okay, I don't like that look at all. That's just me personally. Okay. All right, I just want to take the stuff off the side because I don't like the stuff off the side. The stuff is actually still in the threads and on the threads, which is where it needs to be, because that's what the whole purpose of that is. But okay, probably come up with a little razor blade knife and that later. Okay, anyways, we got that done, right? And you now see why. Even though in the very beginning you've been like, why are we starting with that? Why aren't we just wiring it up? Well, because now I can simply take this wiring harness that's a complete mess at the moment. I can unstriner hatch, and it's gonna go up around here somewhere, and I can now make sure this is not gonna be all twisted up, because we don't like twisted things unless we're doing the twist. Pretzels are twisted, those are good, we like those, but in this case, no. All right, well, I'm gonna clean up this mess here before going in, and then I'll see you guys in a day or two, or like. What's going on, my fellow YouTubers? All right, so we're back in the garage. We've got our coffee. We're back out here with the mess. I'm gonna try to put this camera in a little bit better spot, because I realized I looked at the video and I had it mounted up there, and I realized that you guys couldn't see the piece that I was working on, which is right there. So, man, I really apologize for that. I'll try to set this up a little bit better so you can see everything. But so recap, we have got the temperature sensor put in, and we're gonna wire up the rest of the fan. I've got a couple hours before I've got to be somewhere, so we're gonna knock out just a little bit more. Let's begin. Okay, everyone, this is gonna be round 2, and I think we got the camera in a better spot for you this time. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got going on here. You know what, let's give a little light. There we go, a little light on the situation. Okay, so first off, let's take a sip of coffee. I prefer a honey in my coffee. Okay, now we've got, we're gonna put our directions up here. I'm gonna move them up here so you can see in the air cleaner. That's a good spot. I'm gonna kind of run this wiring kit just like in a general direction where I know everything's going, and we're going to refer actually to a couple of things here. So let's see here. To key 12 volt, the yellow is a 12 volt supply. I know there's a 12 volt supply down there on this car, so we're going to take the yellow wire. We're just going to get everything kind of going in the general direction that we want it to be in. Ties. Now, and then we can do some nice wire loom and whatnot here in a little bit. All right, so this is going to go in this general direction. All right, the yellow wire, and that's our ignition switch wire. Okay. Next, we have red, but the inline fuse goes straight to the battery, and that is going to go across. The battery is over kind of where the camera is, which is going to be over here-ish. So I'm just gonna lay this over here-ish. Kind of get that going in the direction that we want it to be in. Okay. And let's see what I forgot here. We got to positive on the motor is going to be blue. All right. And that is a thicker wire, so that's good stuff. It's actually thicker than the rest. That's saying that this kit is going to be pretty good, I feels. So we're going to run this down and let it just hang down there. I sense some soldering in the future in that general direction. Okay, and then we got 3 wires left. Let's see here. Okay. Black is to the battery's negative. Okay, so we'll run this over with the positive. And just let it live over here. So it looks like the relay is going to kind of live in this general direction. And then, let's see here. We got a green and a white. I know one's going to be for the fan. Well, that's interesting. We have one going to the air conditioning clutch. Well, we don't have an air conditioner on this car. Interesting. To optional manual override switch is the white one. Well, all right. So I guess the black one on that can just get grounded. On the fan can just get grounded. So so the white one is an optional override switch. The green one goes to a positive clutch, which we don't have, or excuse me, the AC clutch, which you don't have, or we don't have. You might have it, perhaps. Okay, so these two, I think what we're gonna do is we're not gonna use these. So I'm gonna probably cut them. I'm not gonna cut them completely short because you just never know. We got our Leatherman here. Leatherman. Cut. So my Leatherman did break. Cut. This is good wire. I'm gonna save this. This is nice wire. My Leatherman, the tip on the pliers broke, and I am going to cap these 2 pieces that I just cut so that we don't have exposed wire sticking out in just a moment. But at least now we don't have wire just dangling everywhere. So anyways, back to this. I had the Leatherman broke and I sent it in and they sent it back to me good as new, and it's sharp. They sharpened that thing, and boy oh boy, this thing is awesome. Smosh. What mosh? What? All right, so now I do not like to drill additional holes into cars because let's just be honest, there's enough of that stuff out there. We have enough of holes already cut into these cars. So I'm gonna try to find a spot. Perhaps I can zip tie this through an existing hole somehow. That would be lovely. Yeah, I actually see 2. You want to see? Okay, you want to see? Fine. Come on, you can do it. Here we go. So I see 2 holes right there, and this is going to get zip tied right through those holes right there. It's going to be a beautiful thing, and we don't have to cut anything. Okay. All right, you feel better now that you know what's going on? You good? All right, good. I'm happy. That's what I'm here for. So now, what are we doing? We are hooking up this wire the ignition wire. The yellow ignition wire, which I've got a source already here. And I made a fancy doodad adapter earlier for another project, and I knew this was gonna happen. So I have a female connector, squared female connector, sitting there, ready to roll. It's ready to go. And we just need to get a male connector. Okay, so we've got, let's see here. We've got connector for that one, male connector, and you'll go over here. Just a little bit. You don't need it a whole lot now. This is gonna be, let's see here. How's that look? Oh, what size? Oh, I did 14. Oh, she was 16. So these wires are done tight. Let's go a little more. There we go. There we go. Much better. See that? No, that's a good amount right there. Oh, it does say it on there. Oh, it's 18 gauge wire. Okay. Sorry, that was in my mouth. 18 gauge wire. We're gonna put this one here. Now, I just realized this connector I have is a little on the big side for that 18 gauge wire. So sometimes what you can do, you can fold it over on itself and it will fill that up, and now the wire is not going to be as loose inside of the connector. Now the only bad thing about this is you are creating a spot there that could break the wire. So there are schools of thoughts on both of those. But currently I do not have a connector that will work. Let's see here. Okay, so now that is flipped over, there are schools of thoughts on that, whether it's good or bad. And I've noticed that the copper wire is more likely to break when doing that, so do not do that with the copper wire. This is not copper wire, so I think we're gonna have a really good connection this way. Now, when you squeeze and make those really tight, my question is, how many joints and bones are supposed to crack in your hand when you do that? Because I've got, I think, maybe 4 when that happens with me. I think that's how I know that it's tight. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and hook that up there with a nice connection. And I like that these connectors are insulated. So since we do have some power, you never know, something touches, it's not going to touch and cause a problem against some bare metal. Okay, so we've got that one hooked up. Next one I would like to hook up, if you would be ever so kind, is we are going to hook up the blue wire to the positive side of the fan. Now, I want to leave a little bit of slack on this because I'm not sure how I want to run this wire at the moment, but I think that's going to be enough. So keep that in mind. You can always cut more off. It's just a lot easier to leave a little extra there, okay? All right, so now that we've got our blue wire, this is somewhat thicker wire, 12 gauge wire. All right, so 12 gauge should be our top one because it says it. You know, people, let's have a moment here, okay? Let's talk about this. Almost every set of wire strippers have little things stamped, printed on them. You know, it's amazing if you look at them. You can compare them to numbers and letters that make up words on the side. So this says 12 AWG, 12 gauge wire, okay? Now, if you look at this, there's a spot that says 12, okay? And STRD, strand. And then on the other side, it says solid. Now, if you're working with solid like house wire, okay? So you can actually look at that, use that information I just gave you. It's incredible. And you will be able to strip some wires without destroying them, okay? And if you're still not sure, then start at the higher one and work your way down, okay? Don't just go full blown in. All right, so I'm going to, because this is my preference, it's just how I want to do it, okay? I would like to solder this. I see now, since I decided to solder this, I want to make this blue wire a little bit, the 12 gauge wire, just a tad bit longer, because there are a lot of different ways to solder wires. I have a particular method that I like to use, and I do not do pigtail, which is where you take this and you twist them. I don't like that. I like to strand these together like so. Like so. And what I really need is a way to hold this at the moment, so that'll work right there. All right, however, I just remembered, let's put some shrink tubing on there. Okay, now I got everything set up the way I want it. So we're gonna back up because I forgot to put the shrink tubing on. You know, that only happens once every, well, almost every time. But it's okay, because we caught it this time. And I like to, again, I don't like to pigtail the wires, and pigtail is just not how I prefer to connect wires. I like them to be like that. Can you see that? Can you see that? Can we see that? Jeremy? Okay. Can we see that? Okay, it's right there. All right. Now, I've got my soldering iron on the side. I've got my wire, soldering wire ready. And attack! When I say attack, I mean take your time and be patient and make it look good. Okay. I remember one time I got a phone call about how do you solder? Like, what are you actually heating up? So I'll go over how I do it, okay? I start, first off, before you start soldering, make sure that the shrink tubing that you're going to be putting on is far away, because you'll get a surprise after you get done with this. And you know what? Your shrink tubing will have shrunked, and it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna be able to use it. Anyways, here's what I do. I like to, just as I'm starting to melt the solder, I start by melting it on the soldering iron itself. And I put the soldering iron right up against the wires that I'm connecting. And I run the solder, I build a little pool of it up in between the solder, or excuse me, the soldering iron and the wire. Now, after I get that going, depending on the gauge of the wire, you can sometimes, if the wire is heated up nicely, you can start to work that solder into the wire itself and get it away from the soldering iron. Because if you have a situation where it pulls up and it's not flowing, then you just have to move around. And I just had a little bit of a drip there, that's okay, and that's telling me that it's not really flowing the way I would like it to flow. So I'm going to see, perhaps I can start it here, and really get that wire more on this side and start to go through. It really is just something you got to play with. It's funny because I have my way of doing it. I have certain soldering irons that I like, some that I don't like. There is a soldering iron that's been out forever can make it work. We just have to be a little bit more patient than what we normally would be doing. It's okay. We can work it. More patient. And that is what it all comes down to, is patience. People say it takes money to restore your cars. Yeah. But when it ultimately comes down, in my opinion, there are two things. Patience is the first, and probably the most important. And the second one is going to be persistence. Because you can get it done, and if you don't have persistence, well, you could probably get it done. It's just not going to, you might be in the old folks home by the time you finish it, if you finish it. But if you have patience and persistence, and you have a plan, and you're not afraid to mess up, well, perhaps some of those words are the words for a guy who restores a car to live by. All right, that looks better than what we had. It wasn't doing that. I'm gonna let that cool for a second. And now, I'm gonna do the same thing. I already have a negative wire running to the battery terminal. It's a good thick wire. It has a good connection on it. I mean, yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead and strip the wires back for that. After I pick up the strippers I just dropped on the floor. Okay, so we're going to find out how far back we want to cut this wire. I'm thinking, let's go ahead and strip this first one back that's on the actual okay, that was pretty good. And then always leave a little extra. And cut this wire here. Save that wire. You never know when you're going to need to make a connector of some sorts and whatnot. Did I just have a thought? By G. Willikers, I did just have a thought. You know what? The black wire off of the relay can be tied into this mess because they're going to the exact same spot. Okay. So perhaps we can take this moment and instead of having an additional wire attached to the battery terminal, because we've already got like a lot there happening, we can attach this. I think that's what we're gonna do. And we can solder it all and make it look really nice. Okay. So we're gonna trim this wire back. This is the black wire off of the relay. Let's trim back to where I want it. And we're gonna strip this back a little more than I normally would because we are going to combine a couple of wires together and solder them together. And what I'm gonna do for this one, because we have two wires going in the same direction, physically, not having current flow, I'm going to tie those two together. I'm going to get some shrink tubing. And I'm going to take some shrink tubing and put it over the larger side and bring it down. And in fact, I'm going to do that twice. No, I'm not. I'm going to do it just like that. And then we have the wire off of the terminal. I'm gonna run this, make sure this is a good time to see where the wire is running under, over, and through different things. Because otherwise you're gonna have to either cut the wire or disconnect something. Okay. And like the other one, we are going to twist them together, not pigtail, but braided. Okay. All right, we're gonna let it float in midair. All right, we're gonna turn the soldering iron back on. And I'm gonna show you a trick I have. All right, here is a trick. This is typically not used for this. This is flux paste that's really used for like plumbing, okay? And I've had this one for a while. Keep a little brush. Now I use this really mainly for wires that are not in great condition. I get some grody stuff on them. But anyways, I'll show you because it does help the flow look a little bit better. Now, a lot of wire that you get, soldering wire, already has flux in it. And that helps the flow. However, I found that by doing this, it just makes it flow even better. And again, if your wire is dirty, it cleans it up, which allows the flow to work better and you get better solder. So what I do is I don't actually start soldering yet. I just heat it up. And you can see the change in the wire. Okay. And that's it, that's all I do. Then, it also helps clean up the gunk on the tip of the soldering iron. Then, we go ahead and do our solder. Start by putting some on the tip. That's my way of doing it. And then you just start the whole process of feeding it in. And I like to feed it in between the two, meaning the wire and the soldering iron. And I've also noticed that when you put the flux paste on there, you can, like right now, I can actually see the solder going through the individual strands of the wire, and it just fills it much better. It's not to say that the other ways will not work, but it's so funny how there are 1,000 ways to do a simple thing. I'm getting all real deep stuff here now with the soldering. Deep moments while soldering. I wonder what James May is doing. I really like the way James May's brain works. I appreciate it. Some give him a hard time. I really appreciate the way that brain works. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick gander like this. And I can really, that really turned out nice because I can see the solder flowing through each strand of that, each piece of braid of that wire. That's a good solder. I should have done that on this one. I didn't because it's new wire and I didn't think it would make that much of a difference, but, and that one over there is still good. It's gonna be much better than any type of clip-on, crimpy thingamabobber we could do. But if you want to get to be picky about things, there you go. Okay, so a couple of ways that we can now do our shroom tube. You can live on the wild side, like me. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this previous one. A lot of times what I do, oh my goodness, don't you just hate when this happens? I thought this was large enough. It totally was. All right, we got two methods of what we can do to fix this. One, I can heat that back up and try to fix it. Two, we can tape it. Those are our options. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and heat this up and try to, I see a piece here that probably, perhaps I should have put on a larger piece of shrink tubing. Yes, I get it. I really thought this was perfectly fine. So I have to heat this back up. It's gonna take a minute until the point where, because again, this is the thicker wire. Okay, I can start to see the solder unsoldering. Feel it in the wire. Okay, so actually what I'm able to do is I'm actually able to move the larger pieces of the wire with the solder still in it with the soldering iron. And perhaps that'll be enough. Perhaps it won't. I would really like to see an invention where, for moments like this, and we've all been there, where you realize you messed up, and they had some shrink tubing that could fold over on itself. Is there something out there like that? Could you let me know? That'd be fabulous. All right, so let's do the other one, which has the larger shrink tubing on there, which is what I should have done. I used to always use a heat gun, but then I always had to pull out an extension cord. This little feller is awesome. I use it for a lot of different things. You can pick this up at Home Depot or Lowe's or somewhere like that. It's quick, fast, and I don't have to pull out an additional extension cord. Just remember, it's a flame, so. All right, so most likely this is not gonna happen, but we are going to try it again. It is definitely tight, not going to lie. Boy, it's so close. I know I can get it. You can see it right here. It's just this, the solder is just a little high. And this is a good time to use your sponge. Get that extra solder off on the soldering tip. Okay, now, don't you know, let's go to the shower once more, shower, okay. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff that helps boost the videos here. Okay, you ready for round 3? Is it gonna fit? Probably not, but let's give it a try. Okay, all right, fine. I believe I can fly. And there we go. I'm trying to think of a song that says I can believe in soldering. I believe in shrink tubing. Yeah, I just really wanted it to look good. So there we go. I was able to get it. I had to work it a little bit, but now, here we go. Patience, 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 patience. It's all about patience. Persistence. Done. That looks so much better than what it could have been. Yep. Okay, patience and persistence. Patience and persistence. Okay. Now, let's see. We've got this red wire. I'm just looking to see anything else needs to be soldered. I don't think so. So if that's the case, I'm gonna go ahead and remove some of this stuff. And we'll be back in just a moment after this short break. Okay, we got a couple of things cleaned up, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to getting our wire for the battery terminal. I believe that's pretty much it. Everything else is, yeah, wired up actually. So the kit comes with a nice battery terminal ring. We're going to go ahead and crimp this on here. We're going to strip this out. Is this 12 gauge wire? It is 12 gauge wire. Why, yes it is. So we're going to go to 12 gauge and we get a nice clean cut. All right, I like to twist them. I don't know why. It's just my thing that I do. All right, and then I don't like when I do crimp and everything, I don't like for wire to be exposed on the back side. I just don't think it looks good. I do like the actual bare wire to be just at the edge coming out of what I'm crimping. Okay, get a couple of fingers to crack while doing that. And pull on it to make sure it's nice and tight. And you can see I like just a little bit sticking out, but I don't like it coming out the back. It just, all right. Now, this wire, I think I'm gonna have it run this way. And you can choose how you want it to run. That's perfectly fine. I'm gonna hook it onto the battery terminal over here, which I do believe I need to go get a 1/2-inch wrench for that terminal connector. Okay, so we're gonna loosen up one of our terminal connectors with a completely different wrench. Okay, so we're going to loosen up the battery terminal connector. Mine is actually not a 1/2 inch like I thought it was. It's actually a 7/16. So I'm gonna loosen that up with the 7/16 wrench. And we're gonna bring this over here and hook up this. We still need to clean this whole mess up, which we're gonna do here in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna run bolt through my existing connectors and back into the battery terminal. Now, while I'm tightening this up, now would be a great time for you to check your battery terminal. So this car that I'm working on, sweet, awesome car. But it did have some electrical problems, and one of the oddball electrical problems that I came across I was not expecting to see was the battery terminal was actually cracked on the bottom side. You couldn't even tell that the terminal itself was cracked, or excuse me, not the terminal, but the connector to the terminal was cracked, unless you had taken the connector off. And I found it and replaced that. So you never know, it could be something. If you're having a very intermittent problem, it could be that. A friend of mine was talking to me the other week about a problem he was having, and he said it's really weird. He said his negative battery terminal was getting hot. Well, 9 out of 9 times, I always find that you have a loose connection on the negative cable to the ground somewhere on one end or the other. So either at the battery or at the ground going to the chassis or wherever you have it grounded at. It might be there, it might be connected, I mean, and you might be able to start the car and everything. But if it's getting hot, the cable's getting hot, I bet you that it is because it's making a connection to get things going, but it just does not have a very good connection. Now, all I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of getting all these wires together. And especially here close to this pulley spot, I'm noticing this pulley and the wires. We're gonna have to do some serious stuff there to make sure that we don't have any wires getting in the belts or the pulleys or anything like that. So this is just to kind of get things going in the direction that I want the wires to go in. We're nowhere near at where we're gonna end up at. I'm just trying to get everything nice and neat. You gotta come back and trim all the zip ties, and honestly, you're probably not even gonna see the zip ties once I'm done with it, because it's going to be hidden in some wire removal stuff. Okay. So we're just working our way around here. I have a little excess wire stuff happening over here that I'm not crazy about, so I think we're going to tie those up, but I do have those connections. So before I go ahead and fix the little bundle of mess, it's not even really a bundle of mess. I had cut the white wire and the green wire earlier. Now what I like to do, that's actually twice the amount I need. I take a little piece of wire, about that much, and I fold it over top of the wire, like so. And I'll bring you in and show you as soon as I do the other one. And I found that this just really makes a good connection, or not a good connection, a very good, it seals the tape very well, it seals the end, so there's no chance of it coming off. Now, what I sometimes will do, and in this type of situation I'm definitely gonna do it, and I'll show you step 1 and step 2 by doing it this way. Step 2 is securing it. I realize there's so many ways to tape things. I mean, honestly, this is kind of like the art of gift wrapping, but for electrical wiring, okay? So let's take a look, I'll show you. All right, so the first step is to go ahead and just fold the tape over. Then what I do, I take an additional piece of tape and I make sure half of it is on the part that's folded over. This gets folded together. Half of it then goes on the wire. Half of it goes on the tape, and that stops the tape from slipping off. Brilliant! I know, thank you. Thank you. All right, and so I'm gonna put that last piece on there and zip tie that up. This whole bundle right here, and then it'll be time for some wire loom. Speaking much do not I. Okay. All right, so now we're really getting down here to the last few things. We're going to zip tie this, all the wires here together. So they look good and clean, neat, and all that fun stuff. Next, we're going to take our snippers and go ahead and just snip all the little parts of the zip ties. You know, again, these zip ties are much bigger than I normally use for something like this, but I just can't find the ones I normally use. They're just basically smaller zip ties for this. They just, they don't need to be this big, but it's what I can find at the moment. All right, I just threw about 20 tail ends across the garage, and none of them made it into that. All right, so this is looking pretty good, actually. This little harness is actually turning into a thing. It looks great. All right, so now, wire loom. Before we do the wire loom though, I have the remaining bits and pieces of the old harness here. And I do not like this wire loom. This stuff is cheap. Stuff that, okay, but you know what? This is like the Velcro-y stuff. I kind of like that. Maybe I can reuse some of that. There is one wire still on this that I should have removed. I wasn't thinking about it. I was focusing on one thing. It's on the battery. I know it wasn't going to cause a spark because it goes right directly into the fuse holder, and I removed the fuse so that the other end wouldn't be hot on purpose. So let's put this back. Much better. And cleans up this area of the engine bay. Screw that back in. We're just going to tighten this down with our 7/16. I wonder what Tim Allen's working on. I wonder if he's still working on any cars himself. I know he's got a little car collection. I don't think it's quite as intense as the Leno of the J, but I wonder if he works on any cars himself these days. All right, so this, let's go ahead and put that over there. Okay, that's all gone. Looks much better. All right, so now, wire loom. And now that I just threw that over there, remember I said earlier I want to go ahead and reuse this wire loom. So I'm probably going to speed up the camera right now while I undo this. Okay, that is all done. Now, I don't know if the camera can pick them up because it's actually right beside them, but there are 4 strands of this that are here. And now I'm gonna put these back on, I think, this wire. Here we go. Okay, so this is a different type of wire loom. This is actually stuff I really prefer because you can see how small that is, but the way it expands, it's really neat. It can expand to be a much larger, to hold a much larger group of wires or thicker gauge wire. And I just like the feel of it as well. It's a little bit easier to work with, I think, than the plastic stuff, because anyone who's ever done the plastic stuff knows it's just annoying. But with this, it's pretty neat because similar to the plastic stuff, I just put my thumb in there and kind of work it down. But it closes up, and when it closes and wraps around itself, it's really not coming, it's not going to pop out the side. Now, I do believe this is a little bit more expensive, but it is nicer, and it just looks really nice on the car in general. And then for a situation like this, where we got a couple of wires I got to jump over to the fan, I'm going to simply let them pop out, and then they can jump back in. All right. I've actually seen where people have, I don't know if it's necessary, but again, talking about 1,000 ways to do one thing, I've seen where people have cut holes in their wire loom. They have the wires stick out the side. and to continue on. I mean, I suppose you could do that. Yeah, that's a thing. Apparently it is. But you could also just do what I just did and just do it like that, and it looks really good. Yeah. Now, if I was a super perfectionist, yeah, I would say all the wire loom on the entire car should be exactly the same. However, this is not my car, and there's already a number of different types of wire loom on the car. I wish, yes, that the wire loom that was all part of this was the same. However, some of this stuff, which is kind of interesting, was already here with the car. So we're gonna reuse what we can on the car to save a little bit of moulage. And we'll still put some nice quality stuff on like this. I did have larger plastic loom, but since we have some pretty neat stuff happening on the car, we'll use this for the wiring. Now it is a little difficult here because I've got numerous pieces that I am trying to get to go in there. We're sticking out numerous different ways. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm close, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. You know what, we might just use the snippers for this. And that cuts very nicely, no stranglage, no little straggle sticking off the edge or anything like that. In a minute, I'll give you the whole look of how, grab the camera and show you the way that turned out, because I think that looks pretty good. The only thing that I haven't decided how I want to do yet is where I want to put this fuse. We are going to put a zip tie in a couple spots here to make sure this doesn't come apart. I feel like zip ties are the modern man's duct tape. Which now begs to ask, if zip ties are modern, then when did duct tape not become modern? And what was invented first? Duct tape or zip ties? I would think the tape, but you know, perhaps I shouldn't assume. Okay, this here, I wonder if I can put a little bit of this to clean this look up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean you to go swinging there. So let's, I'm gonna try to get just a little bit of that on there. I'm gonna cut this just a little bit to make it look good. I really don't want to have to put electrical tape there. If we can make it look the same, that would be great. Let's see if we can. And you ever, like, in the middle of the day, remember a dream that you had that night? I almost had one of those moments right now. Okay, that looks better. I'm gonna put a zip tie on both ends of it to keep it on there. Make sure it doesn't come apart. I think it's gonna look better than what it was. Put one on this end. That looks pretty good. And we've got the fuse holder sticking out so you can access it, but at the same time it doesn't jump out and scream at you that it is a fuse holder there. Okay, so now we're gonna trim these. All right, and then it's time to go ahead and zip tie this up. I'm afraid I don't have zip ties. It's crazy. I got tons and tons of zip ties, but for whatever reason, I can't find my super long ones. Can't find my super short ones. So I'm gonna have to double up, and I'll put one end on the back side of this hose to look like this. So it looks like one. Hey, you gotta go with it. Got to go. Got to go, got to go, got to go. What is that? There's a commercial. Go, gotta go right now. Gotta go. Is that like for Depends or? That's not the Pepto-Bismol one. That's upset stomach, indigestion. What is it? Something another diarrhea. Okay, that's what we've come to at this point in the video. Is we're now seeing the Pepto-Bismol commercial song. All right, we have reached a whole new level of, oh my goodness. Okay, so I think one more zip tie right there would be looking good on that. Okay. And when I say one more zip tie, what I really mean is two zip ties put together with the back end flipped over. And okay. I'm gonna come back and trim all those zip tie tails off here in a minute. Okay. All right, now here is our concern. We need to make sure that the wire loom does not get caught in the belts. And that brings us to today's zip tie moment. If you take your zip tie and you fold it over, put a bend in it, and fold it again, like so, you now have a very nice hook that you can bend around anything you want it to go around. So there, it just went through the little fin of the fan blade, and I'm not fighting it. Now I can zip that tight to that fan blade. Now that I just did that, yeah, I think that's how we're gonna have to do that. I was hoping to do this a different way so that I can remove as much as blockage this side or back side for air to flow, but I think that's just how it's gonna have to be. I know it doesn't really make a difference. It's not gonna make that much of a difference, but I think about it. Okay, so we fold once, we fold twice. Hey, if you needed to fold again, you could. I have had to do some weird folds where I folded 3 or 4 times. You can get something like that. A little bit better hook. Okay, so anyways, we are going to go up here. And now we're able to put that around the guard very nicely. Pull that nice and tight. And we can check to make sure, okay, there is, I mean, I know that's not going to, but hey, we're here. Let's do it, okay? Let's put one more. Let's do it again. Our fold. And we're gonna fold again. So you get a hook. And we're going to go round and around we go. And around we go. Ugh. There we go. And it pops around the other side. Coming around the wire loom with all of our wires. And now we know that that is going to be nice and secure. And now we're not going to have any wires get close and stuff. And everything's going to be safe. Okay, so I think it's now time to trim everything. I'm going to put one over here, I think. And it's really not even necessary, but if I can make things look a little bit nicer, then that's what I want to do. Okay, that one I'm not going to make tight. I'm going to let that one slide a little bit. Cut, snip, 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 snip. You snip all this, snip, 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 and snip. All right. Hey, a couple of them made it in this time. And let's just take a look. Everything, I believe, is hooked up and wired and ready to go. Okay. We'll go ahead and clean up this mess, and we'll get the car started, let it warm up, and I'm gonna, well, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'll do this first. But in just a few minutes after it's all done, I'll show you running. And hopefully this is cutting on and off, because before the problem was on the other fan, it didn't want to cut off and it kept raising amps and it would blow the fuse, which is a 30 amp fuse. And yeah, all right.